Just yesterday, we went through Kingdom Come Deliverance II on 40 GPUs, showing exactly how it performs at 1080p, 1440p and 4K, and at every quality preset level from low all the way up to experimental, and even dabbled in some upscaling results to see what that meant to try and increase frame rates where needed. But what was interesting is that how the game uses CryEngine and what that means for scaling across complete ranges of GPUs. Because lately with games, we've had a lot of releases that have been, well, a hot mess from the get-go. But Kingdom Come Deliverance II actually seems very well optimized. So I wanted to dig a little deeper into showing you performance across an RTX 5080, RTX 3060, and even the trusty old favorite RTX 1060. But before we get into that, here's a quick word from this video sponsor.
Alright, stay calm. You've got one job. Do not let this thing overheat.
It's running hot. I don't know if it's safe.
Get the WireView Pro.
The WireView Pro safeguards your graphics card with real-time power and temperature monitoring, acoustic alarms for custom thresholds, and sensor pin detection to ensure proper 12V PWR connection. External sensors can monitor additional components like memory or voltage regulators, while an OLED display provides instant insights, meaning that this is the last time you'll blow a 12V PWR connector, soldier. To keep your system protected, click the link in the description below. Now, I won't go over old ground because we did a lot of extensive testing on 40 GPUs just yesterday, which resulted in over 600 data points. So essentially had me and the team doing the same run over 600 times. And for a game that's, well, a bit of a slow burner, I will admit that it was quite painful. But the results overall were really good to see, with some older cards still able to strike a balance between resolution and quality presets. And, well, that's something I wanted to look at, along with the RTX 5080, which, even though stock is still an issue, is going to be one of the most popular GPUs of 2025. I also wanted to drill down into the RTX 3060 and RTX 1060, and for two very good reasons. The RTX 1060 was one of the most popular GPUs ever released, with the 6GB model holding up, well, much better than the original 3GB model, and is even listed as the bare minimum spec for the game if running at low at 1080p. Though it is claimed 30 FPS is all you'd get, which I guess is fine, but with dips and 1% lows falling below that, you may find some stuttering in places, especially with more demanding scenes. The RTX 3060, on the other hand, is currently the most popular GPU on the Steam hardware survey, and along with that is listed as the recommended 1080p card if wanting to run at medium at 60 FPS. Beyond that, they list the RTX 4080 as the card of choice for Ultra, and claim that it will give you 60 FPS at 1440p and 30 FPS at 4K. So, with the experimental preset, which isn't even listed, I'm going to hazard a guess that it can do, well, a little better at 4K, especially with the rest of the setup that we have here, and, well, the all-important 5080. Now, today we're solely focusing on GPU performance, so the processor and memory that the game specs require are going to be different to what we've used today, because, well, otherwise we'd have to build up multiple machines, and I also want to show how each of the GPUs tested today scale with their kind of respective settings, showing that in 2025 there's a game setting and resolution for essentially everyone. Though I'm more than aware that gamers, even on older hardware, still want the very best settings and believe that they should be able to run on high or ultra, no matter what. Sadly, that's just not the case, and some sacrifices have to be made. So with that in mind, we used our GPU benchmarking system with an AMD Ryzen 7 9800X3D and 32GB of Corsair Vengeance RGB, 6000MHz CL30 memory on a Gigabyte B650E Aorus Master motherboard. All tests were run on the latest version of Windows 11 with the latest NVIDIA drivers, and by using such a high-end processor, it allows our GPUs to stretch their legs and to squeeze out every last frame. So, booting up our system with the GTX 1060 6GB, and we're down at 1080p on the low settings. And in all honesty, it looks good. The game itself was never meant to push the boundaries in the way that Alan Wake 2 or Cyberpunk has with ray tracing, path tracing, and all that other good stuff. But things still look good. Now, I did mention in our 40 GPU big benchmark test that the game is quite involved, and I think, well, when you're playing a game like that, you can maybe overlook some slight issues with quality, for instance, because you're wrapped up in the gameplay and the story. So to look at the overall quality and obviously keeping performance in mind, we can see that on the 1060, on 1080p on low, it doesn't look great in the grand scheme of things, but there are still some sort of good textures going on, the foliage and things like that. And we are still getting 65, 66 frames per second. Now, as we sort of move around, it does increase a little bit, 67, and then we start dropping off as we have that kind of draw distance and what you can see in the background. It doesn't look bad though for a GTX 1060 at 60 odd frames per second. It looks pretty damn good. Quality isn't amazing, but on a smaller monitor, things should look absolutely fine due to pixel density. If we do want to increase that performance a little bit, then we can go into settings, graphics settings, and then we can look at resolution scaling. Now, this card doesn't have DLSS, it does have FSR though. So with FSR, we can set that to quality, save the changes, and then we should see a nice healthy little bump in FPS, sort of 90. I'm guessing again, as we go back through here, it's going to drop more sort of 85, 84. Again, doesn't look bad considering it's low and the type of hardware that we're using it on, which is, yeah, pretty old at this point. But yeah, things look fairly decent in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, if we do want to increase things even further, then going back into the graphics settings and going down to FSR, at the moment in quality, we can set that to balanced and then go back in, and now we're up to sort of 99, 100 FPS. So I think really we're in the realm where we could actually look at potentially bumping up the quality of what we're playing at. So from low maybe to medium, that will give us obviously that drop, but then FSR is kind of bumping things back up again. As we go out here, we're sort of talking low 90s, 92, 93, and you can really see in the distance at these trees in front that, yeah, it doesn't look particularly great. And again, we're going to see kind of things suffer a little bit more as we go down and we set balance mode to performance. That is going to give us an even bigger jump, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, the quality, it just doesn't look great. It doesn't look like a game that came out in 2025, but we are getting 104, 105 FPS. I personally wouldn't really recommend going performance mode on this. I'd probably try to favor quality, and the frame rates that you get from that still look pretty damn good. Looking at the other presets on the GTX 1060, I think there's definitely scope to increase things up to medium and then enable FSR. But I'd be looking to try to utilize the quality preset. Otherwise, while you're increasing the visuals, you're then taking them back away again through upscaling, as it will render at a lower resolution anyway. So it will just negate any better visuals that you can get anyway. Now, you could argue that the high preset is possible if you're happy to see some slight stutters in the lows. But again, upscaling could help. But well, it's not a magic pill, and you'd have to be quite aggressive to get performance anywhere as to what I'd class as kind of reasonable. Okay, so moving over to the 3060 at 1080p on medium, and straight away we can see we're averaging around sort of 105, 104, so low 100 FPS. There are going to be moments if we kind of go through here and we get a little bit more sort of close up, things happen, and then as we sort of have this draw distance in the background, things do drop a little bit, but still 98 FPS, not sort of too bad if that's going to be the lowest point of performance that we're going to see. Now, when we look at medium compared to low, the textures are noticeably better. Obviously, as you're going to go kind of closer into things, it's still not going to look great in comparison to high and things like that. But bearing in mind, we are on an RTX 3060. Now, we can get the performance a little bit higher if we go into the settings, and then we can enable FSR. So we can put FSR on and we go for quality. And what that actually means for our performance is, well, firstly, from a visual standpoint, the draw distance maybe changes a little bit. There's a little bit of flickering on the fence and things as we move around, but overall it looks pretty good. 130 FPS. As we go in here, that increases a little bit and then goes back down again, sort of high 120s, 128, 129. So yeah, things look pretty good. Going back into the settings and graphics settings and then changing FSR yet again. So from quality to balanced, we can see obviously we was getting around sort of 120 to 135 FPS, whereas now we're kind of closer to sort of 135 to 145, even looking at that kind of draw distance. And again, the quality hasn't really changed, considering that FSR is, I guess, a little bit more aggressive. Again, on that fence, you can see things just where it's trying to overcompensate with shadows and things. And then if we change down again, going back into settings, FSR, and setting that to performance mode, Obviously, that's going to give us a nice little bump in frame rate. So we're now kind of 160s, 170s. Going back in here, just where we have that kind of little spike and then it drops down, 155, something like that. I guess if you were really looking, the distance looks maybe not as refined, but things still look pretty good, especially for an RTX 3060. When we look at what else is possible on the RTX 3060, I was actually quite surprised, as we're now rocking some pretty strong numbers, even on higher presets. Now, the developer has obviously been quite conservative and, well, quite balanced, as they're speccing things up based on an RTX 3060 with a comparable CPU, whereas we're using the 9800X3D, which some will say is unfair, but we wanted to take the CPU out of the equation, as it's generally something that a user could upgrade to breathe new life into their GPU and system as a whole. Now, what we do find is that the high preset gives us 78 FPS with strong low figures, but what I'm eyeing up more is the ultra performance at 58 FPS. Now, there's nothing stopping you utilising FSR or DLSS to get that higher while not losing out too much. Though the other option is to increase your resolution, and we've shown results of that in our other big benchmark test video, where we tested 40 GPUs at every resolution and every preset. So definitely go and check that out if you want to find out more. So lastly, on the 5080, we're kind of hovering around 70, 71 FPS. I mean, we're on experimental, so things are looking much, much better. We still get a few kind of weird effects with the shadows and things, and I'm honestly now thinking that could actually just be the game and optimizations are maybe needed there, but it is something I guess that you could kind of have as a bit of an oversight. Now, as we come down here, we are still sort of 60, 62, 70 frames per second. The draw distance on this is much, much better, obviously, at these settings. It looks kind of barely better than what we're used to seeing on Ultra, but kind of gives us way less performance. A little bit of screen tearing there, I think, as well. Now, if we do want to increase that performance a little bit, we can obviously go into settings. We can go down to FSR, and then we can set that to quality. If we just save that, come back out, now we're kind of hovering around the 98 to, I guess if we come back through here, sort of the 100 FPS mark, 102. So yeah, things are looking pretty good. Now, I do want to just show as well, obviously we're 100 to 102. If we go back through to the settings, but this time changing FSR to DLSS and coming back out, we can see really there's about a frame, maybe 2 frames in it. If we sort of come back through here, there's really not much in it between FSR and DLSS, even on 4K experimental, but things are looking really, really nice here. Now, if we did want to sort of change things ever so slightly, then we can go back into graphics settings, and I'm just going to bump it down to Ultra. We've still got DLSS on, still set to quality. We'll save that as well, come back out, and well, realistically, it hasn't really changed all that much in terms of how things look. But you can see that our performance is, well, yeah, a little bit different, a little bit higher up, and yeah, things are looking good, performing good. But obviously this is on a 5080, so you kind of really wouldn't expect anything different. So finally, looking at the 5080 at various presets, and well, it's a bit of an odd one, as we obviously showed experimental. So if you're happy with that, why would you want to go any lower? Obviously for more performance, if you're happy to lose a little bit of quality, but without sacrificing things through upscaling. Now, me personally, I'd be looking at Ultra over experimental, as there really isn't much in it in terms of visuals, but it will, on average, net you another 10 FPS, and with slightly stronger low figures too. Though even high is looking like the most favourable to me at 98 FPS, with 91 FPS in the lows. And again, if you really want more, DLSS and quality will get you well past 100. Testing 3 different GPUs, the GTX 1060 6GB, RTX 3060 and RTX 5080 at 3 very different settings really highlighted how Kingdom Come Deliverance II handles hardware scaling. When we tested 40 GPUs for our full benchmark video, the sheer number of cards wasn't the only time-consuming factor. The game's 5 quality presets, plus upscaling options and multiple resolutions all added up. But after taking a deeper dive with just these 3 cards, I now understand why those presets exist. They provide a much needed level of fine-tuning, especially for older hardware, allowing users to adjust performance with minimal effort. Instead of forcing a major jump from low to high, or even the experimental setting, the in-between options make the trade-offs kind of, I guess, more manageable. On the GTX 1060, for example, running at higher presets was simply out of the question. But rather than being stuck with an overly aggressive low setting, you can tweak a few settings and kind of help balance visuals and performance without tanking frame rates. Meanwhile, the RTX 3060 was in that mid-range sweet spot where playing around with settings could either prioritize visuals or performance, depending on personal preference. The RTX 5080, on the other hand, had no issues at max settings, but even then, enabling upscaling methods like DLSS or FSR showed noticeable efficiency gains without sacrificing on quality, proving how well the game scales, even at the high end. Now, what kind of really stood out was just how much flexibility these options provide, making the game accessible across a wide range of hardware. While some games force a major visual compromise at lower settings, Kingdom Come Deliverance strikes a balance, keeping the visual fidelity intact, even at reduced settings. This kind of scalability ensures that even players on older GPUs can still get a decent experience without excessive tweaking. For a game with such a detailed world and high hardware demands, this level of optimization is pretty impressive, giving players the kind of complete freedom to adjust settings in a way that best suits their hardware without feeling like they're completely missing out on the experience. Now, one of the key factors enabling this flexibility comes down to the use of CryEngine. While not as commonly used as Unreal Engine, CryEngine has always been known for its ability to deliver highly detailed environments with strong physics and lighting effects. More importantly, it's an engine that has historically been able to scale across a wide range of hardware. So whether you're using an older GPU like the GTX 1060 or a high-end card like the RTX 5080, the engine makes use of various rendering techniques to ensure performance remains as smooth as possible. Unlike some engines that demand brute force power, CryEngine optimizes its rendering pipeline in a way that allows both old and new hardware to achieve playable frame rates. And that's exactly what we saw here today. Now, one of the biggest advantages of modern gaming is the introduction of AI-driven upscaling methods like DLSS and FSR. While these technologies are mostly associated with improving performance on high-end systems at 4K, they arguably make an even bigger impact for mid-range and older GPUs. The RTX 3060, for instance, benefits massively from DLSS, allowing it to achieve much higher frame rates without a major drop in visual fidelity. Unfortunately, for older GPUs like the GTX 1060, DLSS just isn't an option due to the lack of tensor cores. However, FSR provides a more universal solution, giving players with older or non-RTX cards a similar performance boost. These upscaling methods effectively extend the lifespan of older hardware, letting them run modern games at higher resolutions or with better settings that would maybe otherwise be possible. Ultimately, the combination of CryEngine's scalability, the well-thought-out graphics presets, and the availability of upscaling technologies, in my opinion, it makes Kingdom Come Deliverance II one of the better optimized games out there. And, it's rare to see a game that pushes high-end hardware while still remaining accessible to players on older systems. So whether you're running a last-gen card or a top-tier GPU, the flexibility in settings ensures that you can dial in a balance between performance and visuals that works best for your setup. And that's something we just don't see enough in modern PC gaming. So there you go. That's going to wrap this one up. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, a like and a sub to the channel would be amazing. And if you love what we do, then you can help support everything that we do, along with getting a ton of cool added extras by joining the super special Patreon club. You'll get access to exclusive behind the scenes content, bi-weekly game nights, access to a lot of our testing data, and much, much more. The link is, as always, down below. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.